Hi, Space Cab. So, this week, uh, Pete and I took, we rented a space cab and we toured around and we just talked. And we crossed, let's say, many different dimensions. So, enjoy.
He was saying that, like, if you're religious or already, and you have that, like, he's from Texas, this guy. He said if you're religious, and you have an experience with what other people might be calling UFO or an unexplained aerial phenomenon or any kind of unexplained phenomenon, people tend to explain it as being the devil.
Oh,
something
some
evil.
Some do.
Yeah,
Some,
but it's because they already have a cosmology which they can fit that into.
A religious cosmology. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, just a cosmology, like a view of the world. Like,
right.
When I say cosmology, I mean like somebody's complete worldview.
Right.
And so it doesn't trouble them because they know what it is. It's evil. It's just it's just the devil doing something. So, but you're no problem because the Lord's looking out for you. So it's not a big deal.
That is the only way away from some of the negative beings. Like, for instance, let's just say you're up against like a Draco's got you, and
I don't know what that is,
reptilian.
Oh,
and they really they need the fear.
They live on fear.
They do.
Well, now imagine a creature that thrives on fear. Like, what's it thriving on, really? Is it like does it need you to secrete whatever your glands secrete when you're afraid, and somehow it smells that and it lives on that smell? Or like,
well, let's just talk about Linda Moulton Howe, and she says, okay, oh no, it's not her that says this, but okay, the reason why, okay, you've heard of cattle mutilations.
Okay.
Yeah. There are also human mutilations, and it's very disturbing and it's very kept hidden. And the same style, where the eyes, the organs, sometimes the tits, not the organs, meaning the sexual organs, are taken. And okay, I've heard this. Wait, this was on
the
reason. No, it wasn't. It was on social media through a thing. Oh my gosh! And they use the fear. They snort it. They snort it like blow. I jumped to the end.
But listen,
okay, people have to figure out.
I understand that, but I mean, like, so, like, what? How do you explain that in real terms? It's sort of like a lot of people have this concept of energy that is not physical energy, but it's like, let's say in yoga, people have like there's an energy called prana, but that's your breath. But I mean, people talk about energy a lot, but but there's no specific. There's not it's more like a metaphor of physical energy, what they're talking about, but it's in some kind of other world that's more just like the world of ideas, or maybe like.
Right. But are we talking about frequencies? Because, for instance, if you listen to the Kenneth Hopkins episode, he does talk about the reptilians.
Yeah. And they're evil,
they're
and then
lower
higher frequency. Yeah.
They are lower frequency.
Yeah.
Whereas.
But frequency, what kind of frequency are we talking? That's what I mean. There's a lot of like
higher,
loose.
lower.
Like, okay, I just have a problem with I need things to be a bit more rigorous in terms of terminology. When you start talking about energy or frequencies, to me, like, it needs more a more solid groundwork somehow for me, like a more rigorous underlying cosmology, let's say, where but I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I believe that you could possibly have, like, say, like, as Carlos Castaneda said,
or
inorganic beings,
yes.
So those are, like, to me, those just mean, it just means they're like beings of linguistic space.
No, okay.
The linguistic space, because that's
yeah.
because that's how we conceive of them, right? Like, there may be, like, that's the only way we can describe them is using language, but somehow they're these like
NHI.
There's some other, like,
newspeak. It's the same thing, is it not?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Non-organic beings and non-human intelligence.
Necessarily, no, because non-human intelligence might come from organic beings that aren't humans.
Oh, true. Right? Like some of the greys, like some of the really small greys.
Maybe the greys are organic beings.
Some are, and some are not. That's what I've heard, kids.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that inorganic beings, as Carlos Castaneda talks about them, are sort of like informational, self-reinforcing structures, things that can live
like
in ideas outside the human body. Like,
right.
Do you know what I mean?
But
they're ideas that perpetuate themselves.
But an idea, so that's interesting. Can an idea become, well, does thought have, what was the stupid question? About waves and then frequency?
No, I'm just saying, like, when you describe something as having a frequency or using energy, I feel like I need to have, like, a physics of that underneath it. Like, but I think that things can exist, as I'm saying, without necessarily having that, like, underpinning that I want. That's like a rational underpinning of theory, and proven theorems, and
But I
believe that there can be entities that exist outside of that. But those are, like, to me, they exist in what I call the idea sphere.
Idea sphere. Is that anything like another dimension?
No. It's just like, it's part of our human evolution, like, to evolve language, and then once you evolve language, you don't need your body anymore. Like, you pass the language on to the future, so the language exists without being in any.
I'm going to point to this person here and let the Space Cab viewers know that I'm pointing to Sasquatch.
No. I mean,
is it because you brought otherworldly intelligence? Is that how you described it? I'm losing it too. The water's been slipped with acid because we talked about
non-human intelligence.
Non-human NHI.
I was saying, like, no. I was saying it doesn't have, because you can have non-human intelligence. Yes,
you can. Like the consciousness of a
But that wasn't non-human intelligence. NHI was.
No, you said it was from Castaneda.
Oh, that was. Well, he called them.
It started with an O.
They're called inorganic beings.
That's it.
You're thinking of organic, but yeah, inorganic beings. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and other people too, because they're made.
Right.
They're sort of like made.
Oh, he might be speaking. He came back in. That's right. You're right. Yeah, that's a possibility.
But anyway, so to me, outside of, like, that kind of, like, solid linguistic or mathematical or physics underpinning, when you use a term like energy, it doesn't exist. It only exists to me in the idea sphere. Like, it's not, because it's not, like, I'm not postulating that there's another world just because there's a word that suggests that. You know what I mean? Like,
imagination. Let's talk about that, because that actually plays a part, because that is a part of being human. And does it or does it not come into magical realms, homunculi. And I've pronounced that wrong.
Homunculi, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like it's sort of related to that. Although homunculus is made from dirt, so it is,
But you have to do something with it too.
But see, there's also
hand gesture.
But that's also a metaphorical gesture too. Like, so it speaks to the being that it speaks to the. Well, see, but the thing about homunculus is that you can sort of charge it to do what your will. Right. Like, so
which is sad.
That's what some people call black magic.
Yes.
You know, because it's self-serving rather than serving the greater good.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's how people
define
dark magic and
might have
light
understood
magic.
it in the Mary Shelley Frankenstein way.
I mean,
I've stolen that from somebody else.
No, that's a fairly common thought.
All right, I forgot.
About, but you see, does he have a soul? Actually, that is the greater question. Well, no, they just has your will. It's soul, basically. But I mean, that's again, you're saying soul. So like, okay, I know I can have a definition of consciousness, you know, like the breakdown, the origin of consciousness and the breakdown of the bicameral mind. After my mom took her, like this was basically on the day of my father's funeral, and I walked into the farm, at my grandmother's house. My aunt was in the kitchen working, and I told her, like, my dad's dead. He's up in heaven. Like, he's not just on the roof. He's way up in heaven.
Who were you telling?
My aunt. She was like a primary school teacher. She always told me that story. She thought it was so sweet. Like,
it is.
You're not just up on the.
Not just on the roof.
Like,
serious.
Yeah. But I was like, I'm skipping. I was like, okay, that's what happens. Sometimes, like, people just go away and they don't come back anymore. I can deal with that, but it's because my mom.
Oh,
but it was also because my mom made me feel so secure over it. You know, like she made me.
Right.
She made me like I never felt like anything was. She didn't show any emotion over that idea. She just said that's what happens.
That's what happens.
You know, and it is true.
Fact of the matter.
It is true, by the way. But I think that has affected me, like my whole approach and understanding of death and, you know, stuff like that. Just like, yeah, maybe we just, you know, when you die, maybe you just go to heaven, whatever the hell that is. But it's like, I know I'm gonna die. You know, I'm gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. Everything is impermanent. You know,
is heaven different than the soul?
I don't know. She said,
"Did you ever
people go to heaven?" She's saying about the soul.
Oh, did you ever have a conversation with your mother about the soul?
No. My most intense conversations with my mother were about my girlfriend, who she didn't like, who I was living with, and she's afraid we're gonna have a kid. We'd have these long conversations, and it's not even her. Even my best friend. His mom said to me, "You can do better than that, Peter."
Wow.
But I mean, I was just always so like, well, no, about, yeah. I don't know.
What else should we have to talk about? I guess nothing. Oh, wait, I'm going to play you that.
I told you we already covered all the good topics before you turned on the tape recorder.
Oh, provide one other thing in your vast wealth. Okay, wait. Talk about the noise.
Okay, so I realized later it could have been a fart. No, anyway, and inexplicably, when I was a little kid, I woke up to the sound. What I imagined was a marble dropping from a certain height onto my little fire truck, my metal fire truck, and it went like Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, let's start from the
And
beginning.
it
Tell
just
the great
stopped.
story about the wonderful fire truck.
Oh, it's a good story. The
It
fire truck.
is.
Okay, well, so I didn't even realize this, but like, so after my dad died, uh, we moved into a house in Bloomfield. Like, we lived out just outside of Bloomfield, and one of my dad's friends was this guy Gus, who had a Texaco gas station in the middle of Bloomfield, where the fire hall is now. And one day, like, and after Sunday school, um, my mom, me and my three sisters went to stay with at Gus and Allison's, which was like an apartment that's over top of where there was a bank, CICBC Bank, and the fire halls or the gas station was beside it. And we'd go and stay with Gus and Allison after. Well, my mom was in church, but as a kid, I used to go over. I would, instead of staying in the apartment, I like to used to go over to Gus, the gas station, hang out with the guys over there, like the old men. You know, they put like 5 cents in the peanut machine and give me like some peanuts and stuff. And anyway, one time I went by there, and in the front window there was this like perfect model of a fire truck, and it had a little logo of Texaco on the side. And it had all these hoses that were attached to the side, which you could take off and hook together and hook them up to the to this little pump that was in there, and put another one in the water, and it would spray out water just like a real fire truck. And I looked at it, and I asked Gus if I could have it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did
He
you?
goes, "Oh, well, sorry, Peter. No, like there's a draw. Like it's all the Texaco gas stations get one, and then they have to have a draw where people, and whoever's name is drawn, well, they get to have the fire truck." And I just started to cry, and I couldn't stop. And so
You had to
when
have
my mom
it.
came to get me after work, and anyway, that Christmas, lo and behold, I come downstairs and there's this fire truck. It's like as if like Gus had been friends with my dad, and he was a real Bloomfield boy, and all the guys in Bloomfield, nobody would have objected
That's why
to
you got
me
peanuts.
getting. What's that?
That's why they gave you peanuts.
Yeah. And anyway, so after I had this beautiful fire truck for a couple of years, it was totally trashed, like because I was a kid. I used to take everything apart. Like I just would take stuff apart. My washing machine, my mom was so mad because I didn't know how to put it back together. It was like a Rigger washing machine. But I just took things apart because I wanted to know how they worked. But anyway, so there was only the little, like, sort of the husk of this fire truck. It was like, a foot and a half long, but it was and it was about maybe 8 inches high, maybe 8 inches wide. You could still stick your hand in the front window and turn the steering wheel, and the front wheels would turn too. It was the greatest thing any kid ever got. Oh yeah, it had a ladder too that you could crank up. Like it would go up. It was just like it was like
heaven,
magical world for somebody my age. I was probably 6 at the time. But anyway, so it was hanging around in my room, and a couple of years later, and I just woke up in the night and I heard this sound. Like I just explained, it sounded like a marble dropping from a certain height onto it, but then just bouncing like bunk, 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 bunk. And then silence, and then the same thing again, and then the same thing again. It happened 4 times, and it just sort of was coming out of the empty darkness. And like that's what I imagined it was, because I imagined it was bouncing on that truck, because that's the only thing that would have made that noise, because it was this hollow tin metal thing, But there was no explanation for it, and I just remembered it when I was writing in my journals when I was at York University. I was in creative writing program. I had to write journals, and I remembered a whole bunch of stuff actually, but that was one of the things that I remembered, and it was strange because it always stuck with me, and it stuck with me since. If I start thinking about it, like it's something that happened to me that's completely unexplainable. And I think that like that happens to a lot of people. Like they have a couple of little things in their life that happen
Mm.
to them. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with extraterrestrials or ghosts or like any kind of weird psychic or phenomena, or maybe it does. I don't know, parapsychological phenomena.
I wonder if
But
okay.
I just think people have these kind of things happen to them that are inexplicable, and a lot of times they just like they don't really stop to analyze it. They're just sort of like, oh, that's weird, and then they just let it go by. But what are they? You know, that's what I'm interested in. What are those things? Like, where did it come from? Why did that happen? It didn't have any repercussions in my life. Or maybe it did. Who
Maybe
knows?
it did. Maybe it did. Maybe
Maybe it was reprogramming my mind.
Maybe that, like brain fevers, fevers you have as a youth. You have to have them for brain growth. Why would I think that has anything to do with tether?
But I mean, the weird thing was it just stopped, and I was waiting for something to happen. I was looking for like some kind of ghost or something flying around my room, but there was nothing. You know,
Were you? I mean,
like I
did
couldn't
you
understand.
did you think in your
Well,
little child brain,
but
6 years old, you were
well, I was
looking
like
for
more
a
like
ghost?
8 or something like that. But I was looking for some.
Oh, that's an awful big difference here, Space Cat.
I was. No, I was looking for some reason why it might have happened. You know?
Right.
Like, and I could not figure out how or why it could have happened. It's just a weird thing that happened to me. Yeah, and I wasn't scared or anything.
You were
Well,
not?
I was a little bit scared, but then it just stopped. So I just went back to sleep, you know.
Wow, yeah. Neat. And actually
But
bizarre, Peter.
but the other thing that was weird about it was it's sort of like a very physical. The physics of it makes sense. Like something dropped from a certain height, and when it bounces, it bounces halfway, a third of the way, a quarter of the way. And
the sound
goes to it made perfect. That sort of made, yeah.
And it happened 4 times, and that made sense.
No, there's none of it made sense. I mean, I just hoped it wasn't going to happen again. Because if it would have happened again, I would have freaked out.
Right.
Well, no, I would, because like.
Do you think it knew that?
Well, I don't ascribe any sentience to it whatsoever. Like, I don't think somebody did it.
Or any, like, okay, that's interesting. Actually.
But I do think that people have stuff like that happened to them that they just gloss over in their memory. They like the unexplained. Like the unexplained is so interesting because you can only speculate, right?
So many times, a stupid word.
I mean, haven't you ever had anything like that happen to you? Yeah,
not like that. Maybe no. Dad said, "Oh, you always like to eat. You were never afraid." There's like a little thing. He said, "You'd climb into the crawl space and go in there." But I would cry my eyes out. Should start raining, and I woke up. But anyway, no. But I do think. Do I think anything happened? Kinda. That's probably all I want to say.
Okay. Nothing to do with like a. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, here's another unexplained phenomenon, which my uncle, who's a United Church minister in Jamaica, back in the late 60s and early 70s in the interior of Jamaica, and he didn't really run the church. The ladies ran the church, but they wanted him white. They called him minister. They wanted him white guy to be the minister of their church, but the ladies ran the whole thing. But he had lots of fun stories about as what he called himself a missionary. You couldn't really do that now. He wasn't really a missionary. He was just playing.
You're not allowed to say that now.
Well, yeah, he was just playing a role of the minister that they needed for their church. And but what he said one time he woke up, because I asked him about this one time, and his wife woke up. She said, "Ralph, something just hit me on the bottom of my foot."
Oh, dude.
And then she said, "Ow, he just did it again." whatever it was just did it again.
Oh my God!
And she said, something is slapping me on the bottom of my foot. So Uncle Ralph, who was a minister, got up and he did a little exorcism,
Good.
and it went away. But like,
Oh my gosh,
so like,
Peter, are you kidding?
Is a ghost?
So it's running in your family.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is, like, I think it's interesting that, like, what's the difference between a ghost or demon or an angel or, some kind of religious visitation of the Blessed Virgin or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
They're all sort of share a lot of characteristics that are the same thing, or
Yes.
even if somebody sees a gray or whatever.
Yes.
And that makes me think that there's something, I don't know if it's inside of us or outside of us as humans. It's hard to. I mean, it's only you can only speculate.
Well, and I think we could all agree that we only know so much about our little three-dimensional style beings. We're not completely there. But I agree. Many people wonder about this.
I think sort of everybody. Well, that's what I mean. I think everybody has had some kind of weird, inexplicable experiences. Some people automatically explain it. An angel or a demon. Like, some people think it's like one thing that I can't remember what his name is from the Saul, like the guy who did the closing.
Soul
speech.
The Soul Foundation with started by the one guy and the other guy, Dr. Gary Nolan. And
no, it's not.
Somebody's.
No, it's not him. It's the last.
Started,
yeah.
Yes. Ooh, gosh, sorry, Space Cab. Well, I don't actually have my license. Anyway, Peter will be flying the darn thing next time, and we will see you then, Space Cab. Have a great week.